Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Caroline Mattis with Medline, and you're watching The Pulse, Medline's live in-booth news program from the SAWC Spring 2018 conference in Charlotte, North Carolina. For the past 2 days, we've been bringing you watching at home and those in our live studio audience front row seats to industry expert interviews in advanced wound care and tissue regeneration, and this segment is no exception. If you've missed any of our live programming or want to check out what's coming up next, visit medlineconferences.com/SAWC 2018, and we're also on social media. Check out Medline on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And right now we're going to be talking about chronic and acute wounds. According to the American Burn Association, acute wounds like burns send nearly 500,000 people to the hospital each year for treatment, and chronic wounds affect even more people, approximately 6.5 million patients. And the burden to healthcare is overwhelming, with $25 billion spent annually on costs for treatment. But spending doesn't stop at treatment. The National Center for Biotechnology and Information found that scarring from wounds is a $12 billion industry. So what solution exists to optimally heal acute and chronic wounds? Well, Terry Swanson is here to discuss one solution, Plurigel, and the International Consensus Update for Wound Infection and Clinical Practice from the International Wound Infection Institute. Hello, Terry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Can you start off by telling us a little bit about your background and how you got involved with the Institute?
I'm a nurse practitioner. I was endorsed in the United States. I immigrated to Australia in 1988. I was endorsed as a nurse practitioner in 2004. And during my time as a clinician, I developed a keen interest in wound infection. And I was invited to a forum in Budapest in 2006 on wound infection. From that, they formed the International Wound Infection Institute, and then I was nominated and voted onto the board in 2008. In 2012, the chair, Keith Harding, asked me if I would become the chair. Now, he has a worldwide reputation. I didn't feel that I had the skills, but he believed in me. So with his vision and his mentorship, I took on the chair and was the chair for 2 years. I'm now currently the vice chair of the International Wound Infection Institute.
Well, you have incredible background in this, and the Institute actually released updated principles of best practice in 2016. So can you summarize the updates for us and what it means for the advanced wound care industry?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to discuss the document. So we launched this internationally in November 2016. So this is an update from the 2008 document that was launched at the World Union of Wound Healing Societies in 2008. So this update, we realized in 2014 that there's been a lot of advancements in wound infection, the understanding of biofilm as one component. So in 2015, we decided to have a face-to-face meeting and determine the methodology of how we wanted to do this next version of the document. So the end product was a 30-page document. It's 10 chapters. We did a literature review from 2008 to 2015. We did a Delphi process online, did 3 rounds to come to a consensus. So we either developed new definitions or through consensus said that the current definitions were adequate. We updated the wound infection continuum. Some of the additions was changing the terminology from bacteria to microbe. The addition of biofilm to that. We kept the terminology, but we removed critical colonization from the wound infection continuum, which provided some controversy, but anything that sparks debate is good.
Yes, and you actually included a chapter in wound bed prep in the consensus update. So why is wound bed prep so important to wound healing?
It's the cornerstone for good wound management. Throughout the whole conference, I've heard speaker after speaker talking about debridement. Now, what we don't have a consensus on, and that work is still evolving, is what is the optimal type of debridement, how often we do it. The general consensus, especially from our document, what I'm hearing from the conference, is that initial debridement, we need to be aggressive with our patients that we suspect have a biofilm. infection. And so it's aggressive debridement, cleansing, and then followed by an antimicrobial dressing. It is a cornerstone. We understand that biofilm is tolerant to many of the modalities which were traditional. So companies are having to go back and retest their products, or when they bring new products on, test them for their efficacy regarding biofilm.
And we are seeing Plurigel right now behind us. So when would Plurigel be used?
So it's a new product in the market in Australia where I live, but the experience that I've had so far and from the literature where I see this. So I'll talk about a case study first.
Sure.
Of a patient. So I had a patient who has peripheral arterial disease, and he's a patient that prefers to self-manage or self-care. And so we've tried everything. I've sent him off to a vascular surgeon. He had intervention. He's no longer a candidate for further intervention. We've tried many of the current antimicrobials. When I was provided with this product, I said to this patient, would you be willing to try it? Because it was a trial product at that time. And he took it and he loved it. So when he was doing his self-care, it was easy because of the viscosity, easy to manage for himself.
Okay.
And in spite all his self-care, using this product, it decreased his pain, and he went on to heal with this product. And this is when we had used lots of other things. What I see with another patient that I had, so she had a very, for a palliative care wound, and it really helped deodorize the wound. Also decreased the pain. Now, I don't know if it's due to the viscosity or it's decreasing the inflammation, but those are some of the early indicators I'm getting from clinical practice. In the literature, I would see that this would be positioned for a chronic wound that you suspect has a heavy bile burden or a biofilm infection, regardless of the etiology. Given that it is a gel, you probably limited somewhat in capacity for body surface, but we used to use a lot of the ointments for large surface burns as well. So that's not my area of expertise, but I could see that being used as well.
And so what trends are you most looking forward to learning at SAWC, or have you learned at this conference?
It's been fascinating. What I love about this conference is the I guess the expertise and the skill and the generosity of people to share their knowledge. What has been reassuring is that we seem to be on the same message, is that a dressing alone doesn't heal or cure, that we need to treat the whole patient. And I love that that message is coming through, that we have to look at their psychosocial, we have to look at their nutrition, their emotional well-being. We have to debride, and debride, and then therapeutic wound cleansing. And George Rodeheaver, if anybody is interested at all in wound cleansing, his body of work has been substantial in forwarding us in the wound cleansing. And then the topical application of an antimicrobial. So it's really a multimodal treatment regime for a patient that you suspect has biofilm. And I think that's what I'm hearing consistently through this Congress. But it's also fun to go to the stands and look to see what's new and looking at the efficacy and the evidence that is available.
Well, thank you so much, Terry Swanson, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to learn more about Plurigel or any of our other advanced wound care options, visit medline.com and check us out on social media. We'll be right back here after a short break.